Traditional inflatable life rafts are designed with two independent inflation rings, an inflatable floor and a canopy. They are generally used on ships that are engaged in offshore voyages. Life rafts come with an assortment of supplies that help keep the occupants safe and in good condition until they are rescued. For some vessels that only operate near shore, inflatable rescue platforms are allowed by regulation. Inflatable rescue platforms, sometimes known as inflatable buoyant apparatuses or IBAs, are open-topped variations of manually launched life rafts and have a minimum capacity of 10 passengers and a maximum capacity of 75 passengers, although some can hold even more. There is no canopy cover and there is a limited number of emergency supplies on board. Inflatable rescue platforms are constructed of two buoyancy rings with the floor mounted between them. They may inflate on either side up in the water due to their double-sided nature. All are equipped with boarding ramps to facilitate entry from the water. You do not have to wait for the ship to sink before the platforms or life rafts are launched. Typically, they are launched manually by the crew under the direction of the captain or a senior crew member if an emergency is serious enough to warrant an evacuation. Typically, inflatable appliances weighing less than 185 kilograms or 407 pounds are designed and mounted so two persons can manually throw them overboard, and this could be from as high as 4.5 meters or 14.7 feet above the water. Life rafts up to 25-person capacity and inflatable platforms up to 75-person capacity are in this category, and you can expect these to be tied to the vessel with a 25-meter or 80-inch nylon painter line, which should be attached to a rail or something solid. In general, people can be expected to board them from the lowest embarkation point possible, usually not more than 2 meters or about 6 feet above the water, but there could be exceptions. Larger ships may have 50-person davit-launched life rafts that are lowered into the water like a lifeboat, fully loaded with passengers aboard, and then automatically released. Tests have shown that most inflatable appliances will support virtually as many people as can pile into them, so regardless of their official rating, you could find some of them considerably overloaded in an emergency. This should not be a serious concern. Life rafts and platforms are held on their cradles by a strap and a quick-release device. The activating line, painter, is tied to the cradle and must remain tied until all persons have boarded. Supplies typically found in your life raft and/or inflatable rescue platform. Bailers and sponges to get rid of extra water. Repair kit containing items such as patches and glue. A flashlight for signaling oncoming vessels at night. A foot pump for topping up the raft's air. A safety whistle, also found on your life jacket. Knives to cut the painter line if necessary. Paddles to get yourselves away from the vessel if there is immediate danger such as a fire. On an ocean-going life raft, you would also find the following: food rations and water, 3 different kinds of flares, smoke flares, which emit orange smoke to attract attention during the day, hand flares, which should always be fired as far away from the raft as possible, rocket flare, which are used to light up your surrounding area so any vessels in the area can see you and come to help. The requirements for dry embarkation changed after new regulations were put in place in 1996. Before these regulations, only vessels that operated more than about a mile from shore were required to carry 100% life-saving appliances. Under the new regulations, minor waters Class 2 and home trade Class 4 vessels, which generally operate within a mile from shore, must carry enough life-saving appliances for dry embarkation for all the passengers and crew when the water temperature is below 10 degrees Celsius. When the water temperature is above 10 degrees Celsius, it is permissible for survivors to also be holding onto the lifelines of a raft, platform, lifeboat, or buoyant apparatus. The ratio has been set at a third over allowance for inflatable equipment. The purpose of the new regulation is to ensure that if the water temperature is cold, there is less possibility of finding survivors swimming in the water than when it is warm, because the vessel's capacity will be restricted to the rated capacity of its life-saving equipment. In warmer water conditions, passenger vessels will be able to carry full capacity, and therefore, in the event of a mass evacuation, people may be found both inside the life-saving appliances and holding on to the lifelines as well. This is due to the over-allowance permitted when the water is above the 10 degrees Celsius threshold permitted when rescue is expected within 90 minutes. Tests show that even when in an overloaded condition and awash with water, inflatable rescue equipment has an amazing ability to support extreme loads in reasonable conditions. The life raft may only be launched on the captain's orders. Release the security strap which holds the life raft in its storage cradle. It will take at least 2 people to carry the container to the side of the ship. Be sure the loose end of the activation cord or painter line is securely tied to a part of the ship, such as a rail or cradle. Throw the entire life raft container overboard. This can typically be done with 2 people, but since these can weigh up to 180 kilograms or 400 pounds in the larger sizes, it may require more people. Pull out the entire activation or painter cord to its full length and give it a sharp tug. The container will blow open and the life raft will inflate. This process is similar for both rafts and platforms. When you're loading people into the life raft, make sure that everybody has their life jackets on properly and that nobody is wearing heeled shoes or has any sharp objects on them. Throw the quoit to assist others. To hold the raft alongside the ship until it can be boarded, the activation cord also acts as a painter line. Cut the painter line after all persons have embarked and when it is appropriate to separate from the ship. You will normally want to stay tethered to the vessel as long as possible, since that's where emergency rescuers are going to be looking for you. The painter line is cut using a special safety knife that can be found located in a pouch mounted near the attachment point on the appliance. Throw out the sea anchor. If you have multiple rafts deployed, it is a good idea to tether them together so that it is easier for emergency responders to find you. You can upright an overturned raft. As the vessel sinks, the hydrostatic release cuts the line which is keeping the life raft latched. As the vessel continues to sink, the raft floats free. When the painter line becomes fully extended, the life raft will inflate. When the raft inflates, the weak link will break and the raft will float free from the sinking vessel.